Hello there, Libras. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast for the month of September. I am breaking this month down into 4 almost equal parts, and so we're going to start with September 1st through the 8th. That's what we're going to be looking at for the next few minutes. As soon as I feel like your cards are shuffled enough to start putting them down. Right now, they're not letting me know that it's time yet. So I guess while we're waiting for it to be time, what I'm going to say to you is thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the thumbs ups on this video. Thank you for sharing this video with other people who may find it beneficial. And of course, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions from me. It is because of all of your support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. And I'm still shuffling. After all that talking, I am still shuffling. By the way, I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know you guys hear me say that all the time. I mean it just as much. Saying it more doesn't mean I mean it less. All right, so what's going on? What are you guys thinking about during the 1st through the 8th? There's a lot going on in your minds and in your hearts for me to still be shuffling this much later. If you were in person and I was trying to read for you, I would tell you all to breathe. Just breathe. Relax. Libras, you gotta relax. Okay, well, this should be interesting. Judging by how that went, how the shuffle went, let's see what comes up. What was interesting too is that even though I was shuffling a long time, there was nothing jumping out. So even though you have a lot on your minds or on your hearts, there may not be a lot of actual chaos with that, which is really good. We're going to see. We're going to see. I do see some of the cards I would expect with a long shuffle like that showing up here. All right, so we have your cards down. I think I'm going to wet my whistle, and then we're going to start off by talking about your environment, Libras. And when I'm looking at environment, this is going to be any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually that's going to be home, but it might be somewhere else, so you just want to kind of keep your mind open to where this might be. It looks to me like in your environment, you are able to feel very comfortable, feel very relaxed. You may even be celebrating something, but definitely you're able to just relax. And it looks like you haven't been able to relax in your environment in a while. So there's this relief of being able to relax. Now there is something going on there that you're still wanting to work on or improve or change. And I see you having patience with that, which tells me that whatever this is that you want to do differently, there's something that is not, there's some kind of obstacle that you have to work through, or maybe you have to wait for a go-ahead of some kind. So there is something that you're still waiting for, but meanwhile, you are well able to relax and just enjoy your environment. And like I said, I think you haven't been able to enjoy it for a while. Things may have been pretty hectic in your environment for a while. Now you're able to really enjoy it during the 1st through the 8th. Okay, let's look next, Libra, at what is on your subconscious. Oh, honeys, you're not feeling like your normal self. You're feeling unbalanced and ungrounded here. There's something going on with somebody that you care about. And I feel like this is somebody that is from your past. Now, a lot of times people will automatically go to, oh, that's romance, but it doesn't have to be. But this is somebody that's from your past that you still care about, and it looks like this other person really just has bad memories or a bad taste in their mouth from the time that you spent together. And I think that your subconscious is really working on chewing on this, like, okay, You know, what should I do with this situation? Should I do anything with this situation? What can I do with this situation? That type of stuff. So your subconscious is really working on that situation. Now, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about two things. First of all, learning style and also communication style. We have the moon featuring twice here when I'm looking at this for a learning style, which tells me you're doing a lot of self-reflection. You're doing a lot of reflection, just thinking about things, just quietly thinking about things. Yep. And I think that what you're really thinking about right now has a lot to do with emotions as well. And it looks to me like you may even be thinking about things while you're working, while you're doing your thing. You may be thinking about these emotions and reflecting on yourself, really. Reflecting on your own emotions and why you're having them. That's where you're learning. That's your big focus, at least for this time frame. Now, let's look at your communication style. Definitely there's some communication going on about work and about teamwork. That's featuring as pretty dominant here. There's also some communication happening about health and wellness. There seems to be some kind of contrast. I'm going to say it's between you and another person where either you're doing things really healthy and the other person is not, or vice versa. And so there's some communication there about that and about how to bring that into a better balance together. And then I think that all of this communication is really laced with emotion. You know, we saw emotion in your learning style, but I see it again in your communication. It's a dominant feature of the communication. And there may even be some ultimatums that you're giving as part of your communication whenever it comes to this idea of teamwork and whenever it comes to this idea of balancing the health out. Okay? La da 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 da. La da da da. Next we're looking at work. Interesting. Whatever you're doing for work, I think you may be planning not to be doing that for much longer, or at least not with the company that you're with now, or not. There's something definitely that you're not planning on keeping the same about work. That's the first thing that jumps out at me when I look at these cards. I think that you have spent some time alone at work, and now they're doing something in a more social way, or you're acknowledging more people or interacting with more people as you're working. And it looks to me like there's been some kind of fear around your job or around your work or around your business or your company that you have really figured out a way to overcome. You know, maybe if you had a fear, I don't know. I'm in the U.S. and we've got rioters going kind of cray-cray over here in some of the bigger cities. Maybe if you had a fear of somebody coming in and looting your store, you got new cameras set up or better locks or alarms or, you know, some kind of security system. So now that fear is no longer a fear for you. But there's something around work that you've been fearful about. And you've done something to alleviate that fear. It's no longer something, or maybe you didn't do something to alleviate it, but it's not making you fearful anymore. Let's say that much. Now, la da da da. You know, I really hate to say it, but I think a lot of you may be carrying some type of weapon with you to work. Honestly, this is what I'm picking up on. Whether it's just that you're carrying a loud whistle, whether it's just that you're making sure your car keys are handy so that you can put them between your fingers, or whether you're actually carrying a loaded handgun. But I think there's a lot of you that have overcome the fear around work by weaponizing yourself for self-defense. Now, that's not going to apply to every single Libra out there. Obviously, I have Libras from all over the English-speaking world watching this. But that does come up to me. So that means that there's going to be a significant amount of you that's true. Let's look at self-work. Before I pick up those cards, let's look at the other part of this. Your self-work is really right now all about going with the flow, seeing what happens and playing things by ear. I think you're not ready, you're not willing to plan on certain things in your life right now. And so you're ready to just kind of sit back and see where things go rather than make solid plans and assume certain things are going to happen. And that's work for you. I don't think that is something that comes naturally to you necessarily. Now, what are we looking at next? Next, what we're looking at is that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. First of all, I don't feel like you're doing a lot of movement or a lot of travel, or there may be trips that you had planned that are being canceled. And it looks to me like you are pulling money out of savings or pulling money out of stash to do something or to have something, to have a service for yourself or to do something. So, if you're not traveling, well, what are you doing? You're staying at home. Maybe you're pulling money out so that you can improve your lifestyle at home. That could be what we have here. But there's definitely something where you are pulling out things that you have saved back and you are exchanging them for something else. There's a nice even exchange showing up here. So while you're not traveling, I do think that there's something that you're spending money on that you feel really good about the purchase, even if you did have to hit your savings to make it, Libras. La, da, da, da. That's where you're growing and expanding. Let's see. Next, we're looking at those things that you stand for. This really, this is really opposed to what I just said, that where you're growing and expanding. So apparently in some part of your life you're spending money. In other parts of your life you're feeling like money has not really been coming in well and you've been tightening the belt. And it looks to me like you may even have trouble paying your bills. And I think that you're actually, like somebody's saying to you, well, how come you haven't covered this bill? And you're saying to them, well, things have been tight. I haven't had the money to do it. What's going on here, Libra? What's going on here? Because we see you spending money. We see you taking money out of savings while you're sitting at home not traveling. How come the bills aren't covered? I don't understand this. And this is the beauty of getting a reading ahead of time, is that you can look at this and when you see this energy rolling in or you feel it rolling in, you can make some different choices. So you can make my predictions be wrong. Free will can change anything. And so I'm going to say, if you know ahead of time that spending this money might put you into a pinch, maybe you redirect your thoughts about what should be happening with your money during this particular time frame. Because the fact that it showed up that you're spending this money right now, same time frame, things are tight with just regular bills. This is a very fast repercussion for what you're doing. A very fast repercussion. In fact, I don't think you can tell me that you didn't know that this was going to cause a problem. You can't look me in the eye and say that. Be careful with your money. Especially with the money that you have saved up. Use that for an emergency cushion. With what we're going through as a world, This is probably not the time to be buying those luxury items. All right, so I'm going to get off my soapbox now, because this is just supposed to be predictive. It's not supposed to be advice from Amista. It's just supposed to be fortune telling, predictive. So we're going to look at what this other person thinks of you. This person that said, hey, how come you're not paying all your bills the way you should be? This person sees you as having plenty of money. Plenty of money. That's how they see you. They see you as being very comfortable. Like you have plenty. They feel like you're not paying your bills just because you don't want to. Basically. You don't want to. You'd rather do this other thing. And so since you'd rather do this other thing than pay your bills, then you're just not going to. But they see you as having plenty of money. They're, in their mind, they're kind of having the same reaction that I just had when I saw these cards of, hey, you could have those bills covered. What's going on? Here you're making this big purchase, but you're not paying your regular bills. You could have those bills covered. This is what this person is thinking too. This person is thinking you could be just fine. Things don't have to be tight. All right. Let's move on, shall we? Money's always an uncomfortable conversation. Anyway, let's look at the flex point during this week. That's when things start to take on a different direction. Or during this time frame, I should say. It's a little bit more than a week. Okay, so what I see is I see you sitting here having some kind of pity party, like looking at your disappointments and focusing actually on your disappointments. And I think that you're seeing those disappointments because the truth has come to the surface about something. Somebody has actually come to you with the truth and given you this major wake-up call. They're putting it in your face. And it has you feeling sorry for yourself. What's going on, Libra? Libras, I mean, this almost smacks of an intervention to me. Like somebody coming to you and saying, listen, what you're doing is not healthy and it's not good and we think you need help. Now, I don't necessarily see this whole idea of we think you need help showing up here, but definitely this is somebody that has realized the truth. They figured out the truth. They're coming to you. They're telling you the truth. They're putting the truth right in your face. And because they're putting the truth right in your face, you're having this pity party. You're feeling sorry for yourself. And the sense is that you're feeling sorry for yourself because somebody found out the truth. This wasn't a truth that you're proud of. Well, guess what? We all have truths that we're not proud of. We do. There's no judgment here. At some point in our life, we all get into that situation where there's something we're not proud of. But somebody has found out this thing that you're not proud of, and they're coming to you and they're saying, you got to change this. And they're putting it right in your face, and you're feeling sorry for yourself. What else is going on at the same time? Libras, I don't understand what's going on in your minds right now. You are being given a gift. And instead of receiving that gift, you're fighting with the person who is giving the gift to you. Because you just don't have the energy to take up this gift and use it, or this opportunity and use it. I feel like for a lot of you, this is an opportunity to do something, and you're just like, I don't have the energy to do that. And you're fighting with this person about this gift. This person knows that this gift or this opportunity is something that's going to help you move forward. I don't think it's the direction you want to go right now. You're literally fighting with them about this. What else is happening at this time? So you've got something going on in your home life also at this time, Libras, where there is somebody who shares a home with you, who is feeling more self-confident, and they have more self-esteem. They understand more about their own self-worth. And as they're understanding more about their own self-worth, you're not really liking their changes. You're not really liking the way they're acting here. You're not taking this very well as they change and understand more about their worthiness, what they are worth in the universe and to the universe. Let's look at where you are at the end of this time frame, because I would really like to see some good come out of this. Okay, so I see you really doing some things that are creative and outside the box, some things that are encouraging to people around you. I see you being very outgoing and very cheerful. You may even be encouraging some other people who are in your sphere of influence or in your support network, in your tribe. And I see you working, excuse me, and as you're working as part of how you're supporting and encouraging these people who are in your support network. And I think you are also, you're very focused on work here. I think whatever distractions you normally have from work, that you normally let come in and distract you from work, I don't think you're letting those things distract you. I think you're staying very focused on your work. You have something to prove to somebody here. You have something to prove to somebody here, and so you're staying very focused on your work until you make sure that you have made that point, whatever that point is, to this other person or other people. Okay? So that's what we've got going on for you Libras. It looks like, you know, your environment is fantastic. That was lovely to see. You've got some good stuff going on here. But you also have some things that, you know, how's that song go? Things that make you go, You have some things to think about and to consider about what direction you want those to go too. Okay? But you do have some good things happening, and that's encouraging, that you can pull strength from those good things to help you deal with these other things so that you can handle them in a way that is productive and positive and healthy for you. All right? So I'm going to take a break, reset my energy, come back, and I'll see you when I get back. Hello there, Libra. We are back again. This time we're going to be looking at September 9th through the 16th for this time frame. See what kind of main themes you have going on during this time. Give yourself a little bit of a heads up about what's happening with you. Look at that. Cards are coming out much more easily right now. Okie dokie, Smokies. First of all, we are looking at your environment to begin with here. An environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Typically it's home, but it can be some other place too, so you do want to keep that in mind. I feel like we need more light here. Let's get rid of that shadow. Okay, so, what's going on with home? Or I should say, what's going on with your environment? I just told you to have your mind open. It might not be home. It might be somewhere else. And then I'm putting it at home. Look at me. So there is something going on with your environment. There is some kind of new opportunity that you're seeing, that you're taking, and you are definitely moving forward with that. It looks to me like there's been something negative in your environment that you're moving away from. As a matter of fact, it looks like there's something in your environment that just quit working. Now this could be, this could be something that was just really old and you were like, it was miraculous that it was still working, and so you're moving away from that thing to the new updated version of it. This could be, I don't know, if you have like room ACs and the room ACs go out and you decide to get central air and update to that. Could be something like that. This also could be that somebody has decided not to renew your lease if we're looking at home, or to renew your contract if we're looking at a work environment. But I don't think that it's a problem. if somebody is not renewing something for you here, because where you could be tempted to have a pity party and look at the disappointments and focus on those over this, instead you're looking at a new opportunity that's in front of you, and you're moving away from this thing where there's been something that's been cut off. You're moving away from that and moving into something else that is better. So, home environment, definitely there's a change. You could possibly be moving, Libra, but there's definitely some kind of change from one thing to another coming up in the environment. And I keep saying home environment, so I guess we may as well just call it home for this particular time frame. All right. Wow. Wow. I'm looking at your subconscious leanings right now, and basically what we have here is that there has been a massive wake-up call that has come into you. And this is regarding the idea that you haven't been able to manifest the things that you want to manifest. It looks to me like you thought something was going to work out a certain way, and that was going to be in your favor and would work really well for you. And what has happened is exactly the opposite of what you thought. And so there's this huge, huge wake-up call showing up here that I think is very unsettling. And you're in your subconscious, you're really working on, okay, what do I do if this happens? I don't necessarily think that it's happened yet, but I think that you're starting to see that it's a possibility, and I think that it's really, really got you shaken up, and you're thinking about, okay, if this happens, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because you've got some kind of wake-up call that's making you realize that this shakeup is a possibility. This manifesting the opposite of what you're expecting or what you thought you were manifesting could actually happen. And so your subconscious is working on, okay, well, what's the backup plan? All right, the next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style. There is a lot of emotion around the things that you want to learn right now, and I think you are learning a lot of things. I think you're looking at different options for yourself, and this may have to do with those subconscious leanings that we saw, but I think you're looking at different options for yourself, and you're not seeing much that you're really happy with, to be honest. Also, as far as learning style, there's something that you know that you want to change. And I think you're realizing that you want to change it. And to me, it looks like the more information that you find, the more you're feeling like you're stuck, like there's no way for you to make this transition or this change that you want to make. And so it's almost freezing you in place. It may even be just the paralysis of the fear. There's somebody around you is telling you things that are making you really fearful. And I think that that is keeping you from feeling like you can move forward. Also, as far as learning style, I think you actually overcome this, because the last thing I have showing up as learning style is that you are finding a lot of information and you're finding a path. You're finding a path out of this situation into something else that's different, that doesn't feel so restricting, and you're finding some of those answers that you were looking for emotionally, and it seemed like you just couldn't find any options that were good. I think that by the end of this time frame, by the end of the 16th, you will have found at least one option that does look good for you. Okay? It's going to be, it looks to me like this is a stressful for you. As far as communication style, there may be situations where you're just not doing a lot of communicating at all. There may be quite a few people where you're just not communicating at all. Remember that old saying, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything? I think you may be following that. Where you are communicating may very well be long distance. Excuse me. I think I just swallowed a particle of dust or something. Excuse me. So, excuse me, where you're communicating may very well be a long distance, but it is definitely to the point. There's no beating around the bush. There's no frills around your communication. You're saying exactly what is on your mind. You're saying exactly what it is you intend to say. There's no, hi, how are you? Are you having a good day? There's no small talk. How's your kid doing? There's no small talk. No, zero. Whatever you're saying, it's straight and to the point. You're letting somebody know. I feel like you're letting somebody know that there's trouble and that they're going to have to make a change for this trouble to be dissipated. Okay, and I feel like there's long distance communication in that, but I don't feel like that's the end of the communication with this person or with those persons. I think there's also some of that communication with people who are close to you. So maybe the conversation starts while you're a distance away from the person, and then you come into a situation where you're closer or you're in person and you continue that conversation. Either way, it's very direct, it's very to the point, and I feel like it's demanding. I almost feel like you sort of have somebody backed up against a wall with what you're saying there. All right. I don't know why my throat feels like this. I'm going to take a little break and I'll be right back. My apologies. I felt like I had something in my throat and I couldn't make it go away, so it's still a little scratchy. We'll see what happens. Anyway, though, I want to get through this time frame. The next thing that we're looking at for you is work. So, somebody that you're partnered up with at work. For some of you, that could mean that you're an employer. For others, that could mean you're an employee. For others of you, this could be a business partner in a business or a company that you own. For others of you, this could be a vendor or this could be a client. Okay, but there's somebody that you're partnered up with at work, and there's a lot of impatience around whatever's going on in this partnership because nothing is changing here. And it seems like you really want some things to change, and nothing is changing. Everything's staying the same. So there's a lot of impatience there, a lot of frustration around that situation, around the idea that nothing is changing. Now let's look at inner work. What I'm seeing here for inner work for you, Libra, is that you are really balancing out your feminine energy with your masculine energy. So this means that you may have been more heavily focused on the male version of your energy or more heavily focused on the female version of your energy. Now, before you guys get all crazy on me, and I can hear some of you doing it right now, we all have masculine and feminine energy. This is not big news. But we all are spirit, and spirit really doesn't have a gender. Our bodies have a gender, but our spirits don't. And so when we're talking about masculine energy, we're talking about that energy that is very active, very proactive, it's action-oriented energy. When we're talking about feminine energy, it's very receptive, it's good at letting it be known to the universe or to the world at large what you need, and then just letting it flow to you, just watching it flow to you. So very receptive, where the other one is more of an aggressive, make it happen, hammer it into place. So masculine is hammer it into place. Feminine is let the universe know that this is what I want, and let the universe bring it into you. Okay? So what I'm seeing here is that your inner work, Libra, is to balance out that masculine and feminine energy so that you are coming into balance more easily, so that you're creating what you want more easily. Because if we're out of balance, then we can be either trying way too hard to make something happen, or We can be not putting out enough effort to make something happen. And so we want to have that happy medium where we're letting the universe know the things that we need or the things that we desire, and where we're also taking the action that the universe inspires in us to do those things that it takes to allow those things to come into us. Okay, so your inner work is balancing that masculine and feminine energy during the time frame from the 9th through the 16th. All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. So, as we go through this time frame, Libras, we do see you feeling a little bit pessimistic about, probably about people in general more than anything else, but it could be about romance, or it could be about your particular romantic situation. But I'm gonna say, with what we had going on at the workplace, I'm gonna say this is more about people in general. And at the same time that you're feeling kind of pessimistic about people in general, you are feeling hopeful that if you continue moving forward in the way that you have, then there will be some progress and that things will start to turn around. And that's where you're growing or expanding, is in keeping that hope alive and continuing to put one foot in front of the other in spite of how people around you are acting. Next, we're looking at something that you stand for. I feel like this is a person that you actually stand for, Libras. And this is somebody that has this is interesting, Libras. This feels to me like there's somebody in your life who you hold above everybody else. Okay? Nobody else can hold a candle to this person. Nobody else can compete with this person. You think very highly of them. You may even have them on a pedestal. At the same time, you haven't always treated them so well. Sometimes you've been sarcastic or grumpy, or sometimes you haven't really told them the truth. And I think somebody is coming to you and saying, well, this person, and I think that you're actually defending that person. And I think you're telling this other person, you know what, this person puts up with this person does that, this person does that, this person is totally and completely loyal to me in spite of me being an a-hole sometimes. So I think you're actually defending this other person. Now, how does this other person see you? So the one that you defended, the person that you may have on a pedestal, to how this person sees you, they're not really enjoying company as much. I think they expected you to also be down on this other person whenever they made any complaints about this other person. And they're seeing you as somebody who is not only fair and making wise decisions, wise judgments, but also as somebody who is very passionate and very protective and possibly even very possessive. And I don't think they'd like it. I think this other person may actually be jealous of the one that you defended. They may wish that they had that spot in your heart or that spot in your mind where you would defend them like that. But obviously they don't, do they? Because you defended this other person that's always been loyal to you. All right. Let's look next. And been loyal to you in spite of your bad behavior sometimes. I mean, all I can do is call it like I see it, guys. That's what I'm here for. If I don't call it like I see it, I'm not passing along the messages in a way that you can do anything with them to help yourself. So don't get offended, because I throw every sign under the bus when I have to. All right? So, la da 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 da, even Scorpios, and I'm a Scorpio. Alrighty. What's going on during your flex period here, where things start to change direction for you during this time frame? You are doing some very sneaky detective work. You're digging for information in places where people would not normally be giving you information. You're trying to see what somebody's real deal is. And why is that? Because you have a little crush on this person, interested in this person, and so you want to see what they're really all about. And so you're looking for information that they normally wouldn't share with you. You're not getting to know them in the typical way that somebody gets to know someone they like. You're digging around, asking friends, digging on social media. You're being really sneaky about understanding, getting to understand this person. Why don't you just ask them out for coffee? What's the problem there? Maybe this is why. So what's going on at the same time is you're spending some time alone. You're being secluded, away from other people. And as you're doing that, what you're supposed to be doing is thinking about yourself and your priorities and what makes you happy and what makes you tick. Instead, we see you skulking around digging for information on somebody else, basically cyber stalking them. And you're kind of taking a break. Whenever you're spending this time alone, you're kind of taking a break. You're having a breather. And even though you're alone, you're feeling less left out when you're out there alone. Okay? Now, at the same time, what is happening? You've got interesting stuff happening because there's somebody who is from your past that is showing up. And you guys are collaborating. You're working on a common goal together. This is somebody that you're happy to see from the past. And when they show up, things work out really well between the two of you. You're working together on a common goal. Now, this is happening at the same time that you're taking a break and supposedly figuring out what makes you tick. And at the same time that you're digging for information about somebody you have a little crush on. I think this person you have a little crush on, Libras, is this person from the past. And I think you're collaborating with them and you're moving forward with them just fine. But I think there's also somebody in your sphere of influence that you have withdrawn from, that you're taking a break from. And while you're taking a break from them, supposedly doing some inner work, self-work on yourself, you're taking comfort from this other person, Libra. So you're not really taking a break, are you? You still got stuff going on. You're still distracted from working on yourself, still distracted from figuring out what are your priorities, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you tick. You're supposed to be taking a break from this other situation so that you can get your stuff together and figure out about that other situation. Instead, you're running off into a completely different situation and being distracted by that. Consider what you're doing, Libra. Consider what you're doing. This is a dangerous game you're playing. You can lose that priority. You can lose that person on a pedestal acting like that. Is that what you want? Are you prepared for that? Where do we see you at the end of this time frame, Libra? We see your self-confidence down the tubes. We also see that whatever relationships you're engaged in right now, they are not reciprocal relationships. Now, what does that mean? Because so far I'm seeing 2 relationships on the table here. And we're seeing that this has you feeling pretty unmotivated. Pretty unmotivated. And for some of you, this can be pretty unmotivated about the bedroom, as well as just pretty unmotivated about moving forward in the relationships. So we've got 2 relationships that aren't reciprocal now. We've got the one relationship with the person that was on the pedestal that's kind of on hold, that you haven't been so nice to in the past. That's not reciprocal because you're not really putting that much energy or effort into figuring out what you want there. And then you've got this other relationship that's with somebody old that's come back from the past that feels like a new relationship because it's been a while. That's also not reciprocal. And why is it not reciprocal? Because you're giving a lot more energy and effort into that one than the other person is. The other person is not putting as much energy and effort into this relationship as you are. They're not as invested as you are. You've got yourself a little problem, Libra. You want to think about what you're doing, really, honestly. Like, no judgment. I know people have had that problem before, and I cared about them greatly. So it's not really any judgment, but think about what you're doing. Think about consequences. Okay? All right, so let's wrap this up. I'm going to shut it down, and then I'll come back, and we'll hit the 3rd time frame for the month. Thanks for being here, guys. Welcome back again, Libra. Here we are. This is going to be September 17th through the 23rd. Once again, just main themes of energy that show up for different parts of your life here to give you sort of a heads up about what may or may not be going on. Let's take a peek at what comes out. Doing a little bit of extra shuffling for you again, just like on the 1st time frame for this month. So far, not as much as the 1st time. I think we're ready. Good, good. Here we go. Here we go. You guys have some pretty nice cards showing up. Well, you've got a nice mix of cards showing up. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything ahead of time. All right. All the cards are on the table. Let's take a peek. We're going to start with environment, just as usual, Libras. What the heck? What the heck? What the heck? You have the craziest cards coming up. There is something going on in your environment that is not very secure, that does not have you feeling very secure. And I think this could be something breaking down structurally. I mean, this could be like a tree limb falling on the porch roof or something like that. There's definitely something going on that has to be dealt with during this time frame in your environment. And whatever that is that has to be dealt with, I think you're going to come out just fine with it. You've got the victory card. So whatever it is, I think that by the time you get done with it, it's going to be in better shape than it was to start with. But I do think it's going to be noticeable. This is not going to be a little thing that needs to be taken care of. All right, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings during this time frame from the 17th to the 23rd. That's my air conditioner kicking in. The vent is right down by my legs. That's why it's so loud, actually. But I do want to cover my legs because that makes me cold when it does that. So excuse me while I take care of that. Okay, so next. Subconscious leanings, as I was saying, Libras. You have a matched set here, which means a couple. So you're definitely thinking about a couple. I think this is you thinking about you guys, you and somebody that you're feeling like is a matched pair to you. However, you guys are making plans, all right. I think it may be that both of you, here's what's going on. This is what your subconscious is thinking about anyway. So maybe you're getting ready to propose this, or maybe it's happened and your subconscious is working on this. But you're part of a matched pair here, but neither one of you are feeling like you used to about each other. And so you guys are making some kind of plans about this. Now with 3 cards, which is about the most I'm going to go in a general reading, because I don't want to get too specific, because then that's going to not apply to everybody. But with 3 cards, I'm not sure what kind of plans you're making. We may see that as we go through this spread, but right now I'm seeing a few options of plans you could be making towards the future. With the 2 of you coming in as you are, you could be planning. There's basically 2 ways that I think this can go off the top of my head. You guys could be planning to stay together just out of convenience because you have a solid foundation built up together over the years. Or you could be mutually agreeing that it's time to go your separate ways. And so your subconscious is really chewing on this, whichever way that it's happening for you. And I think we'll have more clues on that as we go through this. I would imagine so. We'll see what shows up. La da da da. All right, so we're looking next at communication style and learning style. We are going to start with learning style. I do think that you are getting in some new information, and I think it's coming in from a few different sources. I almost feel like whichever component you are of this matched pair, whether you're the male version or the female version, and if you're actually technically single, this would be about your love interest if you have a love interest, and if it's not, then this reading just may not apply to you. I don't know if other parts of it will or not, but this might not. So anyway, you may want to check your rising or moon sign if it doesn't. I think you're finding out some information about your counterpart through other people who are talking to them or communicating with them. So where you would hope that you would be the best friend and you would know the information first, that's not really what's happening. All right? The other thing that's going on is I think you're getting a lot of information intuitively, Libra. You're just picking up on hunches or clues about things that are going on around you right now. So intuition is definitely kicking in. And the other thing that I have coming up is that some of the information that you're picking up right now, Libras, and this isn't really the easiest thing to say, but some of the information that you're picking up, you're kind of inferring or assuming from certain things, and you're inferring or assuming wrong. So if you're inferring or assuming something, then you want to touch base with that person that you're inferring or assuming things about, and just check in with them and say, you know, it kind of looks like this may be going on. Is that what I'm seeing? Or it kind of looks like you might feel like this. Is that really how you feel? You may want to touch base with them, because I think that there are some assumptions and some things that you're inferring that are not correct and that could possibly lead to damage or in this relationship. So you want to be really careful that what the messages that you're picking up, that they're the real deal messages, that they're not just something that is built on shaky ground and not really real. Okay, so next I want to look at your communication style. Definitely we have a lot of emotions coming up from your communication style. We also see some stubbornness coming up here. And there's a time frame too where you're just really not communicating at all. It's like the desert. It's like walking around in the desert trying to talk to you. Like you're just not saying anything. And when you do say something, it is very emotional. And it's very up and down. And I think that you're being very stubborn about things, and you're being, actually, Libras, I'm going to tell you so that you, and I'm telling you this not to hurt you or make you feel bad, but I'm telling you this so that you have the chance to go in and change this, because free will can change anything. Some of the things that you're being really super stubborn about are the things that you're just assuming or inferring that actually are not even correct or real. And I feel like you're assuming or inferring some really negative things here, and this can be a real problem. And having stubborn communications about that. In other words, not giving the other person a chance to show you where that's not correct is only hurting you. Okay, so don't do that. Have reasonable two-sided conversations where you're not only able to say what you need to say, but you're also hearing what the other person needs you to hear as well. That will help you a lot. If you can do that, that will help you a lot. If you can't do that, it's going to be a real problem. I can see that as being a real problem if you can't do that. Let's look at work. Work is very stressful. And I think it's stressful because there's a lot that's unpredictable about work right now. You're trying to make a plan. You're trying to make a strategy. You're trying to move forward in a sane, rational, reasonable way. Rational, reasonable way. But things are really unpredictable. And so that's really stressing you out because you can't have a plan when things are so unpredictable. This is more of a go with the flow type of thing. Weren't you working on that like the last time frame? About go with the flow? It looks like, this is something you're still going to have to keep working on. What's your inner work have to do with? Inner work has to do with thinking on your feet. Thinking, about things are going to be happening that you're not expecting to happen, and you're going to have to respond to them and not react to them. And so the inner work really is about not getting stressed out, not letting yourself cave to the pressure and do irrational things just because things are a little high pressure and unexpected surprises come up. Inner work is staying rational, thinking things through, handling things in a logical way instead of reacting in an emotional way, which generally doesn't end well. You want to react and respond in a really rational, sane way, but you are going to have to think quick. You're not going to have a lot of time to make all your decisions during this time frame because things are going to come up that surprise you, and it's going to be that temptation to cave to that stress and just go, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for this. Well, okay, good to acknowledge that. How do we get prepared now? What do we need to do? Let's just do it. And it looks to me like you're leading a team. You're leading a team, so you've got resources. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. You're going to have to think fast on your feet. That's going to be your inner work. Thinking reasonable and rational on your feet. Okay, Libras, let's look next at that part of you that's growing or expanding right now. Okay, Libras, what we see here is that you are blowing your budget. That's where you're growing or expanding right now. Blowing your budget, and you're blowing your budget on something that does make you happy, and I think that this may be something that you're giving to somebody else, or this is on an experience that you're having with somebody else, but you are not doing what you know you need to do to make the budget work. Either you're not bringing that cash flow in, or else you are spending money that just isn't in the budget. And I do feel like this is something that you're doing along with somebody else. This is either an experience you're giving somebody else along with you, or this is a gift that you're giving to somebody else. And I think it makes you really happy. I think it makes you really happy in the moment, but there are repercussions for this. You want to remember that, Libra, there are repercussions. Don't worry, I don't have it in for Libras. I would be warning anybody else too. You guys have free will. You can change things. Things don't have to happen the way the cards are on my table. That's why we have these readings ahead of time, so that you can head off energies that, don't really work for you. All right, so next thing that we're looking at here. Talks to me about those things that you stand for. Okay, so Libra's standing up for is the idea that you went rogue. You just decided to be independent, not associated with anybody, and I feel like this has to do with work, okay? And you feel like you can handle it. And so you have whatever responsibilities you had to an employer or to an old business, you have dropped those. Maybe you've sold your old business, but you've dropped any responsibilities that you had to an employer. There's something going on here where you're just kind of saying, you know what, I can make it on my own. Thank you very much. I don't need to answer to you. The problem here is that we don't really have anything to celebrate out of this situation. This should be a celebratory situation. If you're walking away from an employee-employer relationship, you know, this should be something good that's to be celebrated. I don't see this as you feeling like you have anything to celebrate here. I do see you as being self-sufficient, being able to do this. This is, you know, financially, this is not an issue. Security-wise, this is not an issue. But I don't feel like it's a celebration for you. You may have felt like you were backed into a corner where you had to walk away from a situation, and that may not have been the original goal in this situation. Okay, it could be a situation, could be an investment. Anyway, you are standing up for walking away from that and putting down those responsibilities, even though there's nothing to celebrate here. I mean, you're able to do it. Please don't take me wrong. I don't feel like this is financial ruin for you. I just don't feel like this is what you wanted either. I feel like this is exactly the opposite of what you wanted originally. Now, how this person perceives you that said something to you about this, like, why did you do this? They see you as being totally happy. They don't see this idea that this is not really something to celebrate. This is just something I had to do. They see you as being totally happy, and they also see you as somebody who has shown them your true colors, and they're not real thrilled about the true colors that they're seeing there, okay? And they're also seeing you as somebody who is waiting, basically waiting to see what happens. And I think they are kind of also waiting to see what happens with this situation. I think they're a little skeptical that you're going to be able to make it on your own, even though you've already proved early in this process that you can. All right, let's look Libras next at the flex point during this time frame. So where things start to change up a little bit in direction. You do have some really inspired ideas, and you've got lots of options to think about. The temptation here would be to scatter your energy and try to work on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 projects all at once. And I think you do have some inner turmoil starting out here about which one to really focus on and which one to really work with. But I think you settle that inner turmoil. I think you decide. You set your priorities and you decide. You decide on the one that brings you the most feeling of inspiration. Now, what else is happening? Look at this. Oh, I like it. This is really nice. The other thing that's happening is that you are increasing your support network infrastructure of people. All right? You are taking down your boundaries between you and other people. You're reaching out to other people and getting to know other people or getting reacquainted with other people. And you are really manifesting a really nice support network around you. What else is happening? There is something where there was some loose ends still left untied. And I think you're going back to get those loose ends all tied up and complete this. I think you're going to go back to somebody and tell them that you are no longer interested in putting energy or effort into a situation with them. Now that can be a relationship, that can be a business partnership, that can be a friendship. But I think you are doing them the courtesy of going back to them and saying, making it official, this is, you're not just ghosting them, you're not leaving them hanging, you're going back to them and you're letting them know, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested. And that's pretty much the end of that. That's high integrity right there, Libra. I'm proud of you for that. You guys have a lot of good going on right now. Okay, so where do we see you at the end of this particular time frame? You've got a lot on your plate, definitely. You've got a lot on your plate. And I think right now you're focusing more on you than anybody else. You're feeling like you have lifted up and encouraged everybody else, and now it's your turn. And I do see you with a little bit of confusion about, okay, what am I going to focus on next? What's next? There's a lot on my plate right now. I think you're going to be thinking about, how you can delegate some of your responsibilities to somebody else so that you can really focus on the things that you're interested in. And you're trying to figure out which responsibilities you should delegate and which responsibilities would be better for you to keep. All right. So that's where we see you at the end of this particular time frame. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, take a break, come back, and we'll knock out the last part of the month for you, Libra. See you soon. Okay, Libra, here we go. Last segment of September. We're looking at September the 24th through the 30th right now. Let's see what we can see for you guys. What can we see? What can we see for Libra? What's gonna help them navigate this time frame successfully, healthily, productively? What do they need a heads up on? Let's find out. Okie dokie, Libras. Let's start with your environment, just like we normally do. What's going on here? Just almost knocked some cards off the table. Can't have that. Get y'all better situated. Okay, so what is going on with your environment? So it looks like there's been something going on in your environment where you haven't been able to do everything that you would normally be able to do there. We kind of saw there was some kind of breakdown last time whenever we looked at the last time frame. What we've got on this time frame is that you get some news now that allows you to go back to doing things the way that you used to. Problem is that in your own mind, you're not really sure if that's going to work or if that's still going to be okay. And so there's a little bit of doubt there. Doubt as to whether you can totally go back to doing things the way you used to or not. You're going to have to prove that out or check that out for yourself. La da 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 da, la da da da. And I got to say too, I think that doubt about that situation, I think that is something that really is in your own mind. I think that actual circumstances are that you're able to go back to doing things the way that you used to. Next, we're looking at your subconscious leanings. Subconscious leanings for Libra during the 24th through the 30th. There's something nice that you would like to do for a couple of energies in your sphere of influence. One of these energies is somebody who's very practical, very down to earth. They appreciate the nicer things in life, but they're also very wise in how they moderate and don't go overboard in them. And you've got somebody else who is very logical, thinks things through, everything makes sense. And so you're trying to give these two people some kind of opportunity or some type of gift. For most of you, both of these people are going to be women, but for some of you, that may not be the case. This is a general reading. But for the majority of you, you want to give these two women some kind of gift. La da 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 da, la da da da. All right, Libras, let's look next at learning style and communication style as it pertains to this particular time frame. I do see you being very curious and learning a lot through conversation with other people right now. Just about things that you're curious about. I think there are also some things that you need to know that you're learning about, and I think you're learning about those really, really quickly. La da da da, maybe even by the seat of your pants really quickly. I think you're also learning. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I do want to know. I'm not sure if I want to say. I think you're learning something about spirituality, and I think you're learning something about the duality of spirituality. I think you're seeing some contrast in spirituality between the light side and the dark side, and I think you're learning about how those play together, what those dynamics are like, is one of the things that you're learning during this time frame. And I feel like that may be something that you're needing to know. That may be something you're learning by the seat of your pants right now. As far as communication, once again, we have you communicating with a lot of emotion again. I think this is more positive emotion, though, than some of the other communication has been. That kind of surprises me for you, Libras, because I know you guys tend to look at the facts and make sure that things make sense for the bottom line. And emotions are not always the most important thing to you. But throughout this month, we have you really communicating with great emotion. I think your communications are also very direct, very to the point. You're really cutting through to the truth, not putting up with any BS, calling it out as soon as you see it. And I think you're talking to somebody about some kind of dream or aspiration that you have, some kind of goal that you have that you want to work towards as well. La da 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 da. Next, we're looking at work. Work, 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 work. Looks to me like you may not be doing a whole lot of work during the time frame from the 24th to the 30th. And I feel like this is resulting in an impact on your pentacles or impact on the coin. The coin is not so much there because there's not a lot of work actually happening during this time frame. Let's look at inner work. I think what's going on with your inner work is you find yourself in a situation where you have to be around somebody who has a negative impact on you. Maybe their opinion of you isn't so high, or maybe how they talk about you isn't so great, and it kicks in and affects your self-esteem and self-confidence. And I think that your inner work is really to not pay so much attention to that, and to recognize your own self-worth. And I think that during this time frame, because you're sort of in a position where you feel like you have to be around this person, I think that this makes it really, this is a challenge. This is a challenge for you right now, to keep your own self-esteem up and not to value yourself based on what this other more negative leaning person has to say about you. I don't like that for your Libras. Let's look at where you're being grown or expanded right now. There's definitely some fighting going on because things just are not clicking into place. They're not going well. Well, if somebody's coming at you, criticizing you, making you feel insignificant, yeah, you might be lashing back. There might be a fight here. And I think that this fight really has to do with family and with money, probably, with some sense of security. So, yeah, things aren't falling into place the way they should be. You're having to actually fight for your own security and for your own family situation, for your position in your family is what I'm getting, Libras. You have to fight for people to think well of you and your family. That's really sad. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Next thing I'm looking at are those things that you stand for. So you had a situation that was really disappointing to you. And I do mean like big time disappointing to you. And you have overcome that situation, and now you're actually in a better place than what you were before that situation went ugly. But it's taken you some time to rebuild that. It wasn't an instant thing. You didn't just wave a magic wand. It took some time to get into this good situation now. And I think you're defending yourself that, yeah, I'm in a better situation than I was before. And, of course it took some time. I think somebody's confronting you about, well, why did it take you so long? Or how did you get in that situation or whatever? You're having to defend yourself. How this other person sees you that made you have to defend yourself about that. They see you as being perhaps a little bit naive, looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. They see you as, somebody who just really doesn't get stressed out about something, doesn't take things seriously. They see you as somebody that they don't really see as good partner material. They feel like because you don't take things seriously, in their minds you don't take things seriously, and you kind of have rose-colored glasses, they don't feel like you would be a good partner to them. They want somebody who's a little hard around the edges. And they're not seeing you as that person. What's coming to me, though, is that in reality, you were really stressed out. You were uptight about this. And maybe you went into that situation with rose-colored glasses, but those got ripped off of your face really fast. So I think this person really has some genuine misperceptions about you whenever I'm looking at this. They're from the outside looking in, and they're not seeing the whole picture. It's a bummer dealing with humans, isn't it, sometimes? I used to have people that would complain to me about things going on, and I would say, well, that's what you get when you work with humans. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we have to allow those other people to have their perceptions and have their mistakes and let them learn from them and move forward and, try not to hold it against them, because we all do it. We're all human. We're perfectly imperfect. Okay. What is going on during your flex point, or where things start to turn around for you during this time frame? I do think that you managed to spend some time by yourself after dealing with this person that was throwing all these negative vibes at you. You managed to spend some time by yourself. You managed to, what I'm hearing is pull your shit together, excuse the language. And you've come out of that time of meditation and of evaluating what's going on with you, what's important to you. You've come out of that really manifesting some great stuff. Really being able to bring into your life the beauty and the pleasure that you want. Whether that's time with the grandkids or the kids, or whether that's, building your rental property empire, or whether that is, a wonderful love relationship. You're manifesting something that really makes you feel good. And even as you're manifesting something that really makes you feel good, I think that other person, as soon as you come away from being in seclusion, they're coming at you with these ideas, this negativity, this, they're just being Debbie Downers or David Downers, whatever the case may be. Doesn't matter. You're not paying attention to them now because now you've got your mojo flowing, Libras. What else is going on? What else is happening during this flex time? You've recognized and you've accepted that this other person, what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're acting, it isn't fair. It isn't based on any kind of truth or reality. And by coming to accept that, that opens the door for you in lots of ways. That gives you new opportunities that you didn't have in front of you. Just by coming to accept that, okay, well, this isn't fair. You know, not trying to buck against it, not trying to fight it, just looking at it and going, well, that's the situation. It's not fair, but that's the way it is. Well, that gives you a chance to really make some progress in some other areas. That gives you a chance to turn your energy away from fighting this situation into doing something productive in some other area of your life. So it's opening doors for you. I think you have a choice. You have a couple of opportunities coming to you, and you're going to have to choose what opportunity you want once you've accepted that this is just the way it is, and it's unfortunate, but you can't control somebody else. All right? Now, what else is going on at the same time that you've come out and you're manifesting even while somebody is spewing negative energy at you anyway? Your self-confidence is absolutely improving. And it is absolutely improving because of the people that you're hanging out with, that you're collaborating with, that you're spending time with. And at the same time that your self-confidence is improving, you're drawing back from that negative person. You're not spending as much time with them. You're not communicating as much with them. I feel like you still need to be around them. This may be a parent or somebody who is maybe a baby daddy or a baby mama. You know, there's somebody that they're in your life and you can't change that. But I do think that you're holding back. You're not sharing as much as you used to share with this person because you see how they just shoot you down. So you're being around people who are more supportive and more able to help you see your worth. You know, they're not your servants by any means. They're your equals, but they're helping you see your worth. All right, where do we see you at the end of the month, Libras? At the end of the month, we see you doing your own thing on your own, being very creative, social, enjoying other people, being very independent, self-sufficient. You're not going back to the negative stuff that was holding you down. You've come back to life here, where before I was really worried about you. You're coming back to life here. And there is a transition that you're making. You're changing some things. So where you're not going back to how things used to be, no matter how much somebody else wants you to, you are making some changes. You're making some transitions that are for the best. You're changing some habits. You're changing some thought patterns. You're changing your perspectives around something in a way that helps you move forward productively and happily. What a great way to see you end the month. I love it. It's a nice note to end on. Thank you so much for spending your time with me this month, Libras. I really do appreciate it. I know we had some things to get through this month that was a little bit tough sometimes, but I do appreciate y'all hanging in there. Thank you also for the thumbs ups on this video if you relate to it. Thank you for sharing this video with others that it may be helpful to. And of course, thank you for getting private readings and private Reiki sessions with me. All of these levels of support, whether you're just watching or whether you're getting a session, all of these help me to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you very much. Everybody have a fantastic month. If I don't see you here for a private before then I'll see you back on the next video. Peace out.